Hello and welcome to another video. This is part 2 of the Mitsubishi HS-8010 8010 sensor CCTV video recorder repair and subsequent testing and playing about with this. So in part 1 you would have seen sort of recommissioning it, testing it, getting it up and going. And subsequently me scratching my head as to how it actually does work, which I did actually work out in the end anyway. So in this part we're going to sort of get it up and recording, hopefully doing some time-lapse, which I'll probably share in a separate video. So this is basically the electronics that deals with the CCTV side of it. As you recall from the first video, this is a domestic video to an extent, but it doesn't have a tuner, doesn't have a clock, and instead has this module which does all the control and recording facilities and on-screen graphics, all the rest of that sort of stuff. So I have actually now got a battery, a replacement battery. Managed to find one, which should do the trick. It's basically a direct replacement for the GB50H3 battery that's in this, and so we'll fit that. I have actually got a timer relay as well, which I'll be detailing a bit later in the video on how I've actually made it so it'll trigger and then reset itself and go all over again. So it triggers every however many minutes you set it. It's actually quite cool. But we'll detail that as well. And yeah, it's all looking very good. The machine itself, the C30, that's actually from another video. So it's actually playing very, very nicely. I've had this on now quite a lot, playing back loads of betas. I'm still going through a box full of betas, but anyway, I digress. So yeah, here's the machine, all the parts again, bless it. And this is the replacement battery. Which is supposedly a direct replacement, even though this has 2 pins on the one side and 1 pin on the other, whereas the battery that's in there has just a single pin each side. So this one is mechanically polarized, if you like, 2 pins for positive. That's fine, we'll just modify it slightly so it does work. So yeah, I suppose the next thing is to change the battery and take it from there. Now, as with all NiCad batteries, this has leaked. Like I said in the last video, it had sweated, and you can see that it has actually started to try and eat away at the copper. But I think this will be fine. I'm hoping it's not the rot that's causing the problems with the clock. So yeah, if I change that, and then we'll just take it from there and see how it goes. Batteries swapped out. Not my best soldering efforts, but what I actually did is I broke the battery sort of off up here of its original sort of tab. Put a bit of solder on this new battery and just soldered it straight on, so it's a bit blobby, but I didn't want to put too much heat through it. This side, of course, because it's bright, it's a single pin, put it straight in, straight through. Because of the corrosion, it didn't flow very well, so I've just scraped a bit of copper off and soldered it on, and that's fine. Best effort job. given that there has been a bit of leakage. I have cleaned the board. Not that you'd really know it, but the board has been cleaned, and yeah, it's looking okay. There's 3.5 volts sitting on the battery as well, quite happily. So yeah, it's good. I'm really pleased. So time to get this back in the machine. Okay, so the next thing is to sort out the idler tyre for the spool drive, and in order to do that I'm going to use some, test out some rejuvenating rubber rejuvenator. That's a difficult word to say, easy for me to say. To do that I need to get the idler assembly out, so you can see it in there. There's the idler. And basically it's as simple as removing 2 screws either side, and then removing the little retaining clip, and being aware there's also a little washer. Removing this, and then as you can see it just drops out. Obviously take the belts off first, and there you have it. There's the idler assembly. Now I would have shown you, I would have shown me removing this, but I broke my camera mount, and I do have another one on the way, but I also need to get this machine back together. It's been sat on the floor here waiting for the mount and the battery to arrive, and I just thought I'm just going to have to get this done. So I apologise now. Yeah, interesting. I will see if I've actually got another tyre, because I have actually got a bag of tyres, brand new tyres, and that does look familiar. So yeah, we'll see. But otherwise, I mean, to be honest, I'm really very tempted to test the rejuvenator. Just wondering about taking this apart, actually. Yeah, so that comes off there. Then what's holding that on? It's a little split clip. So you can probably see the split in it there. So I'd have to open that up and lift that off. Well, that's not inconceivable to do. So I suppose the next thing is see if I've got that got a tyre or what I'm going to do. I think I will take this apart. So I do actually remember this now. So I've had to do it before many a time to actually change the idler back in the early 90s. So yeah, undo that or release that spring clip. You should replace it with a new one. I might not, because, well, this is my machine. It's not going to go anywhere. And I think this all comes apart then. I think it's just literally, there's nothing else holding anything on, but we'll see. I will release that clip, and then if I find anything, I will add to the video. So idler assembly is now all back together, and I have rejuvenated the rubber. I just thought, I just want to try this fluid, and fair play, it does seem to have really improved the rubber, but we'll see. Like I said, I'm pretty confident I do actually have a rubber tyre for that, but I do want to try this fluid, and this seems the ideal machine to do it. The other slight thing is this all seems very tight now. Despite it's clean and having having it lubricated, it's incredibly tight, which is not good. I don't know what I've done wrong there, but yeah, I'm just wondering. Yeah, no, I'm sure that's right. Yeah, I might just investigate this again, just see what's going on. Okay, so I don't know what I did wrong, but I've taken it apart and put it back together with a new split washer clip, and it is a lot better. Yeah, a bit confused what I did wrong, but anyway, that's the joys of these things, I suppose. Why is that not turning? Oh, it is turning. Just slipping a little bit, so it's fine. A little bit worried about that belt, actually. It seems to be quite keen to jam. Anyway, we'll see how we go. I mean, that belt is quite worn, but I don't have one, so we might just have to make do and keep our fingers crossed on that one. So I've just done a quick test off camera, and it won't even load the tape. And what's happening, I mean, it could be something to do with this belt that I've fitted, which is much better, but I just wonder if it is maybe just causing a little bit of problem with fouling of the loading mechanism, front loading mechanism rubber. But on these, there is an idler that basically transfers drive off the capstan flywheel through this tyre to a belt, which then goes up to the front loading mechanism cog there. So this is spinning, and the tyre is not very happy. So I think what I am going to do is give this a little bit of a clean, because the grease has gone a little bit bad. It's not as bad as some of the grease I've found in this machine. Yeah, put some rejuvenate on that tyre as well, I think, and see how we go. So I've done quite a bit of sort of testing of this of this machine, sort of off camera, because it was doing my head in what's going on. And it really does look as if the mode switch has suddenly decided it no longer wants to work. If I press it, if I press the actual mode switch down, it starts doing random things. Even to the point where I managed to get the tape in, it sat there, I could rewind it, fast forward it, went to press play, and it played, but it didn't move the pinch roller, which is a bit odd because that's mechanical, which is odd. Yeah, and then it decided to try and eject the tape. Possibly it could be out of time, so the timing could be out, but I can't see how that would be the case after just changing effectively changing the idler assembly. So I have to assume that the mode switch has gone bad, but from experience, if a deck is working fine and then you do some work and as a result of that work it no longer works, the deck doesn't work, then probably it's something you've done. But it could well be that I've just disturbed something and it's it's not happy. So I suppose the next thing is to try and find out if this mode switch is dodgy. I think I might have one. I might actually have one, which would be amazing. But yeah, it's looking very much like this tech might actually not be terribly easily resurrectable. So yeah, which would be really sad. But anyway, we'll push on. So what I thought was the correct mode switch is certainly not the correct mode switch. It's actually completely different. So what I've done is I've taken the old one apart. You can see it's not conventional insofar as it doesn't have metal traces, contacts. It's actually a printed style of mode switch. So I've cleaned that off. It's actually okay. But what I did notice is the contacts here, which are sort of metal, were actually pretty tarnished. I've had a look to see if I can get a new mode switch, and I can't. Don't seem to be any listed anywhere that I usually use anyway. Did have a look on eBay as well, because you never know. What I have found is a full repair kit, so belts and the idler assembly. So I'm going to actually order that. And a company called Domberg still stock them, and which is really handy. It is a complete kit as well. So you get idlers, the whole idler assembly, and a belt kit and a back tension band. Don't think you get the pinch roller, but I'm not too worried about that because the pinch roller is good on this. I think I changed it anyway. Can't remember now. I have to watch my other video back. But it's good anyway, so I'm happy with that. I think you also get the tyres, the capstan and the loading tyre. So the only slight thing with this is I did actually manage to break it. It is a very fragile board. And I managed to break it, and I've left some of it there. But that should be okay. I should be able to glue it back together. The plastic, because it's sort of held with, the board's held with melted plastic bits here. I used a soldering iron, but I just had to get it near, just to soften them up a bit. They soften really easily, and that turned out fine. So it did come off, but it's just this one. The board just broke. It was hardly put any pressure on it, and it snapped. But it is, like I say, it's a thin board, very fragile, and yeah, it's not overly surprising that it broke, really. So I'm going to get this back together, give it a test, and then I'm going to put this machine on one side until the parts arrive. So we'll continue when they arrive. So after a lot of head scratching and wondering what on earth I'd done wrong, I actually found out that the mode drive motor is actually jamming, and I couldn't work out why, because I mean I've only changed the idler, and it really threw me. It was just so jammed. Anyway, turns out there are a couple of these clips missing. There's one here and one here, and this had sort of dropped slightly, maybe from me pressing down or doing the work on here, and this had actually moved over and got stuck in this outer bit of the gear here. So it's literally just jamming in there. So this now, I haven't tried this yet. Obviously the motor's trying to engage. This should now. It's difficult because it wants to go back where it's located. I don't know, it's still jamming. But yeah, anyway, I was quite pleased I found that. I mean, obviously I need to just drive this back now, but yeah, who'd have thought? I didn't even think to look at whether the clips were missing, but yeah, there's a clip there missing and a clip there, so yeah, we'll get that all sorted and we can move on to the next bit. Well, this has been fun. So I have actually lined it all up now. I had actually got all of the gears in the right place as per the last sequence. What I hadn't got right was where stop mode was, and basically, you can't see it now, but it doesn't need to be like right at the end of the travel of all the cogs, all the sort of these things. So yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare to sort of line it up. I did get the manual. I did find the manual. It's actually the HS-306 this is based on. The 400 is actually the same, I believe. I'll have to check that, but I will put that in the description. And putting it in the same direction as I have it there. In stop, this is actually here, and that there in stop mode lines up here. Now this is eject at the moment, it's no tape in there, so yeah, so this would line up with there with the tape just in stop mode. In eject mode, this actually goes around and it's almost at the end of the travel there. So yeah, that's actually really cool. I've played a tape, fast forward, rewind, everything works. Search works. I've got to repair this again. With all the movement, I've managed to break that. It's the only thing that's actually physically wrong with this. It's got damaged in transit. I also have, even though this one is actually working fine, my repairs were good, I do have a new mode switch coming, new old stock. It's actually coming from Canada. It's cost me something like £15, I think, all in, with the postage. But I'll change it anyway, and I'll put that in part 3. So yes, there will be a part 3. My goodness, what a bit of a battle that was. But I'm glad I got there. It just confused me, partly because when you look through the manuals, no deck has this solenoid, and I suddenly realised why they don't. This machine is a sensor, CCTV-based machine, and so it's basically triggering on and off and on and off. And this brake is actuated by this solenoid, and this will stop any sort of run-on of the capstan. So it should give pretty good results with sort of stop motion type stuff. But we'll see. I mean, lots of fun with this to come. Got the timer relay now. Camera's good to go. I've got power supply that I can use. I was going to use power from this, but I changed my mind. Just not maybe the best idea. So yeah, I've just got a 12-volt power supply, switch mode one that I can use. So yeah, so that's it for this video, and part 3 to come soon. Once the mode switch arrives, I'll change that, and we'll detail that in part 3, then do more testing, and then set up a bit of a camera time-lapse type setup, take it from there. So, thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe. It's great when you do, and I look forward to seeing you in another video.